everybody yelling about?
Their son, the prince, is in love with your sister, but the king here, he can't handle it.
No, he's not. The prince is in love with me.
Are you all right?
Yes, Mother, I am fine.
Why are you hugging him? He's just the servant. He's the prince.
Who told you that?
You mean Akeem's the prince?
Yeah, and he's in love with Lisa.
How come she always gets the good ones?
Should I try another route? I'll come over now. Boy, fly me out to make you fly me out. Just promise that you'll turn me out. Almost time to go. Just
What's up, everyone? It's Books and Looks TV. So today I am going to be doing episode 2 of my series on the eldest light-skinned daughter trope. And this trope is basically how, like, oftentimes in media, the biracial daughter who happens to be light-skinned most of the time is depicted as desirable, is often perceived as the exotic other, and someone who just has like boundless opportunities, whether it be income wise or dating wise. And the younger sister, though, often they're just as beautiful and talented. It's kind of like on the show is depicted as the lighter skinned daughter is positive and just more bubbly, and she kind of just overshadows the younger sister. And I think this is very intentional. So on the movie Coming to America, you have Prince Akeem. And Prince Akeem is from the fictional country of Zamunda. Prince Akeem has women at his feet, bathing him early in the morning. And I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all, when y'all were younger, maybe adults, whatever, were looking like, wow, this man got like women like scrubbing every part of his body. And he seems so discontent. So in the context of the film, they're like, he wants to break tradition, which I don't really see that happening in a lot of African countries. People ain't breaking tradition. But for the sake of the movie, he wants to break tradition. And so he gets this beautiful Black woman. Like, his parents pretty much, they want to have like an arranged marriage. Aside from him having women inside of his compound, he has women line up to like just demonstrate why they are beautiful, etc. And so in African culture generally, at least West African culture, a lot of times, women are believed to be submissive to a degree. It's seen as attractive. And so this woman saying that she likes whatever he likes, she wants to do whatever he wants, whatever. Typically, I feel like a lot of men would like that. But Prince Akeem is supposed to be depicted as like progressive thinking, etc. He tells this woman to like bark like a dog, etc. Right? And me looking back, I get that they were trying to make a point that this woman will do whatever I want her to do and she doesn't have a mind of her own. But I'm like, why did they have to do that to a darker skinned woman? Why did they have to tell her to bark? And I know y'all might be like, it's not that deep. But when you think about what they made her do and how they depicted even Patrice McDowell compared to Lisa, you can see it's very much colorist. And so Vanessa will actually talk about later how she purposely wasn't picked for the lead role because Eddie Murphy pretty much had the choice on who would be his leading love interest. And I think that goes back to Eddie Murphy having like this obsession with biracial mixed women. So anyway, him and his best friend, they're like going to New York City. His best friend is basically kind of like his security guard because no prince travels alone, right? And so while they're there, they're looking for women. And then Lisa McDowell is like running this fundraiser and she seems very passionate, very kind. And she's telling people to like give to those in need. And Prince Akeem and Sammy, they happen to get a job at her father's restaurant called McDowell's. So the father's kind of like, I guess you could say upper middle class, etc. And Prince Akeem and his friend, they're portrayed as like some foreign students who don't have a lot of money, right? Lisa's father is just determined to make money at no matter cost. And it kind of reminds me of like Color Purple now that I think about it. I'm not trying to get too deep off, but when it's like themed as like who's considered desirable, even though in the Color Purple, the older sister was darker, this seems like a habit of like men wanting to marry their children off.
Now, that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Daryl, I must tell you, your mother gets lovelier every time I see her.
Cleo, I'd like to talk to you alone for a minute.
Sure, Daryl. Excuse us.
Mom, Dad, Grandma.
Sure, son.
Actually, I like the fries better at McDonald's, but I'd never told Mr. McDowell that.
Team, make sure everybody's glass is kept full. We're about to make a very special announcement.
Yes, sir.
May I have everyone's attention, please? Mr. and Mrs. Jenks, would you please join me? And Mother Jenks, you come up here too. I've just heard some news that makes me a very happy man. Simi, please. Champagne.
Thank you.
Okay, come on, get out of here. Come on. Now, as you all know, Daryl and Lisa have been going together for quite some time. Well, I'm pleased to announce that just a few moments ago, Daryl here popped the big question. And Lisa happily accepted. So as it turns out, this has become an engagement party. Huh?
Amen. Praise the Lord.
Married.
To the bride and groom.
To the bride and groom.
I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm going to pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand because He helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes. He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Gilligan get off the island. Lord.
I want to talk to you now. Next time you and my father decide to get together to plan my life, I wish you'd let me in on it.
It's not like...
Don't touch me.
But baby, it's our engagement party.
So she doesn't know that her father kind of set up that Daryl, her boyfriend at the time, who's like lighter skinned, and his parents happen to own, or his family happens to own like Soul Glow, which is like a texturizer company or known as like Jerry Curls, whatever. And she finds out that he pretty much said, you know, y'all are going to be married, and Lisa doesn't have a say so. And she's like, in like, whoop-de-woo. Lisa has no say so. And the highest bidder gets her love or attention, assumingly. Let's stop and go into Lisa's character in general. So Lisa is seen as like this soft, feminine woman who's generous, a hard worker. She's always like in her father's office. She is a good sister, obviously. You know, her and her sister seem to get along well in general. And she's just someone who seems very mild-mannered. She's painted in the positive light in this movie, right? Patrice, on the other hand, isn't portrayed as the same. So Patrice is younger than her, slimmer than her, beautiful as ever. But even the acknowledgement of Prince Akeem existing and being like someone wealthy, and Patrice gets to like just look and say, you know, wow, why does she get all the good ones? It's kind of like a jealous undertone in the movie. And, you know, if you're probably young, you're not knowing anything about colorism. You're just like, oh, the sister's just upset because she doesn't have love. But it's kind of seen again as this darker skinned girl isn't deserving of love. And she's acknowledging that the societal differences that is happening, even though it's a sister, she doesn't dislike or hate her sister, but she is acknowledging that her sister is deemed as beautiful, etc. So if that's not colorist enough for you, there's a scene where Daryl gets like wet, right? And he comes in the house. Ironically, he ends up at the sister's bedroom.
Daryl, what happened?
Lisa dumped me.
Oh, I know. You poor thing. The first thing we have to do is get you out of these wet clothes.
And the sister's just looking at him. And I'm kind of like, why the fuck he in her sister's bedroom? But anyway, the sister just like, oh, let me help you get dry. And there's like implied look. You know how they have like scenes where you know something is going to happen, but they don't show you. And it's just kind of like hypersexualizing Patrice, but also showing that she's like desperate too, just to be with someone. So it's kind of like just not painting her in a great light, right? But again, Patrice is like generally seen as someone who's very bubbly, who likes to have fun and who likes to dance. But again, there's this like tone of undesirability. I was just like thinking about all this, you know, Vanessa Bell Calloway, right? The woman I talked about earlier who was hopping around, barking like a dog, you know, trying to portray herself as someone who was worthy of Prince Akeem's love. She says she auditioned for the lead, but wasn't cast in the small role due to colorism. When you have white people hiring black people in movies, sometimes a certain look is wanted. She claims the film's team wanted a light-skinned girl. I just wasn't light enough, even though Eddie had the final say on who played Lisa. So she acknowledged to me that the producers had a lot to contribute to that, but also that Eddie Murphy chose in the end who he wanted to be his love interest, who happened to be Shari Headley, a.k.a. Lisa McDowell. And Calloway continued, that's something that we've always dealt with within our race. A lot of men were indoctrinated by having a white woman or a light-skinned woman on their arm. I didn't want the part of Imani. I wanted to be Lisa. I had read the script and I wanted the bigger role. Nonetheless, Calloway says she is still grateful to have been in the film. The real deal is, when you're in a situation like that, you want to be a part of an Eddie Murphy movie. I wasn't going to say no. I would have loved to have led the part, but I was very happy to be in a movie. I can't lie about that. I said, I'll make the best out of this and I'll be the best. It was a smaller role, but it was a glamorous part to play, and Shari did a great job. So me hearing her say that you want to be part of an Eddie Murphy movie was kind of interesting, because again, Eddie Murphy is a dark-skinned black man. And as I have stated in my deep dive video on Eddie Murphy, he's going to have a mixed woman, light skin, as a love interest by default. That's just who he seems to be. So moving along, I can't forget. So now I'm going to play some public opinion and then I'm going to conclude. I know people hate when modern women or feminists criticize classic movies or damn near anything, to be honest. Things were different, blase. Let me ask you this, though. Why is it that even on Coming to America Part 2, Prince Akeem is chilling in Zamunda with his wife that he brought from New York City and has a realization he needs to get his grown-ass son that he birthed in a one-night stand when he was sloppy drunk and had sex with a dark-skinned black woman out of her black coochie. Happens to be Leslie Jones, right? So Leslie Jones, I generally like Leslie Jones. I know there's been like some statements about her being problematic, whatever. I know Leslie Jones is a darker skinned woman and she has been taunted like in real life by her features, right? So anyway, Prince Akeem, only way he can even have sex with a dark skinned woman, he had to be fucking pissed drunk. And I'm just thinking to myself, this ain't a mockery, I don't know what is. And so he brings his son, his bastard child, who was struggling in New York City with the black mom he left behind. Can't make this up. Anyway, he brings them to Zamunda and he has to admit to his wife that, you know, this happened all along. And so if y'all don't think that there's this like ongoing colorism, but this time it's kind of more so, I just don't know. Like, I feel like the older light-skinned daughter trope was presented in this movie. I feel like all these women were beautiful. I do think Lisa McDowell is beautiful. And I have nothing against her. I just noticed that often in Hollywood, this trope is brought up. Often these women are sexualized in one way or another. And it's just kind of, it's horrible. That's all I have to say about this topic. Let me know what y'all think down below. And thank you for listening to Books and Looks TV. I'll see y'all next time.